Fried, we hear you're on the road. Is this correct?
This is correct, and I would like to say that this is all Ryan Leslie and Eric Francis's fault. I knew that I had this hit at 6:15 Eastern time today, but they said, look, we can only go out for an early dinner because they have Calgary, Arizona tonight, and they literally forced me at gunpoint to go out with them and miss the hit on camera.
Wow.
So it's their fault.
I guess my follow-up is, does meeting at a hot dog stand qualify for dinner? Because if Ryan was paying,
for me.
Yeah, if Ryan was paying, that's where you went.
I'm convinced Fried just knew he'd use his headshot if he wasn't on camera.
It's such a good headshot.
Oh, yes,
man.
I like that headshot. I like that. It's the best I've ever looked, Tim. There's no question about it.
I think you look regal. You look regal in that headshot. That's the word I.
Well, that's the
say.
headshot. I'm talking about the 3 of 32
regal one, the 3 of 32 headshot.
The one beside Kenny
regal.
Reid over there.
I'm
fancy
getting the trophy out of your way here too, because that's a very regal headshot.
So Fried, I don't want to admit this, but I was listening to the 32 Thoughts podcast with yourself, Jeff Merrick, but I couldn't believe how much talk there is around the trade deadline in the NHL, and maybe even more specifically what they're going to do in Vancouver. How much of this is just the regular people trying to figure out what's going on, and how much of it is Jim Rutherford in Vancouver could make some major changes?
I think it's B. I would say this. I think it's a little of column A. I think it's a lot of column B. Jim Rutherford earns his reputation, honestly. Tim, he likes to make moves. He's from the old school of, you know what, like I was talking to David Paul yesterday, and he admitted, and he's been around a while, he loves the buzz of the trade deadline. And I think some of the people do. I think especially the ones who've been around a long time, when before the cap and your team wasn't going well, you could trade somebody for a third-round draft pick or something like that just to get things going. It's obviously a lot more difficult now, but look, Jim Rutherford said when he got into Vancouver, he was going to take a little bit of time, and he probably wasn't going to do anything until around the end of January. And you can't call him a liar. It's the end of January, and the news is starting to hit. And I think he's trying to figure out here and there, what he's going to do. And, any doubt I had that what I was talking about on Saturday night was right ended when Stan Smil came on Hometown Hockey on Monday and basically said, look, we've got to clear up some cap space and we've got to make some tough decisions. So what I think Vancouver's done is they've got some of their players out there. They're going to see where it goes. And I do think whether it's sooner or later, he's going to be up to some stuff.
Can we speculate on names right now?
Well, look, I think the Miller thing is, look, there's interest in Miller, and the Rangers are kind of leading the way on that, but I don't think they're the only ones. And I think Vancouver has at least looked at it like, okay, if we wanted to keep you, because he's been a really good player for them, what's it going to take? So I think they're sort of like pulling and pushing. Garland is the name I put out there. He's got a decent contract. He's a good player. At least, with Miller, you got to sign him in a year. With Betzer, you've got a qualifying offer this summer. At least with Garland, you know what the number is, and you know what it is for term. But I think it's a lot of the names you would expect. I think the only guys they're not talking about are Demko, Hughes, Pettersson, although there's a lot of frustration with Pettersson, Ken, and Horvat. I haven't heard his name either.
It's funny because if Horvat's name does come out, Fried, does that tell us anything about where they're going here?
I don't think they want to completely tear it down, Tim. I think what they want to do is they want to create some room. And, the tough thing, when I was talking to Rob Blake yesterday, he was talking about last year, they trade Jeff Carter, they're moving some pieces out, and, eventually your players start to say, are we going to keep anybody? And your fans start to say it too. You've got to give your fans a reason to show up at the game. And, that was one of the reasons why they kept Iafallo in L.A. They really wanted to keep something and try to build something. Like, to me, with Bo Horvat this year, for as bad as Vancouver started, he was in the conversation for the Canadian Olympic team. Now, that says to me two things. He's really respected as a player, and also, if you trade him, and it means people would want him, like, you know how hard it is to find centers, Tim? It's impossible.
Yeah.
And if you trade him, you know how hard you're going to be looking to find, oh, man, we need Bo Horvat. We just traded him, but you know what? We need him again, and I would be surprised. I really would.
All right, Elliotte, I gotta get onto this team that's just a mystery to me. So I think the Winnipeg Jets need to send the Edmonton Oilers just an awesome gift basket, because the Oilers went through that horrible stretch of December and January where they just stunk, and we all forgot that the Winnipeg Jets are just such an underachieving team. So they beat St. Louis the other night, and I go, okay, that's a nice win.
Yeah, maybe
they'll turn it around. And then last night they lose to Philly, and on the air I just blurted out, I just don't understand the Winnipeg Jets. Can you help me understand the Winnipeg Jets?
Now, are we talking about a Derek Jeter gift basket, or what are we talking about here?
Well, I mean, those are, well, how do we get into that? Hey. Nothing wrong with an autographed baseball.
We're all happily married.
Yeah,
we're all happily married.
Right.
You know what I would say is that, I just think that the Winnipeg Jets, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, Tim, and it's your show, so you can tell me if I was wrong to say it. But like when you played against the Jets a couple years ago, they were a bunch of pricks.
You can say it.
They really were. Like, even whether you won a series against them or you lost a series to them, they were hard team to play against. Really hard team to play against. And even last year in that first series against Edmonton, they were a really hard team to play against. I don't know why, Ken. Like I know you were a pretty decent player, Tim. I know you were a very decent player. Like, you knew if you were soft or you were strong. And this year, the Jets, they've had a lot of nights where they haven't looked very hard to play against, and I can't believe it. I really thought if Winnipeg was going to have issues, and I'm one of the people who picked them as the best team in Canada.
I looked that up before we came on, and I would have been right there with you. Seriously, I'd have been right there with you.
Their identity, it's gone right now. And I wonder about Byfuglien. I really think the Byfuglien retirement, the premature retirement, changed the course of the franchise, and not in a good way. But I got to tell you, honestly, when you used to play Winnipeg, one of the things I loved watching about their games, Ken, was you had to earn every inch of ice you got against them. It's missing right now.
And they were fun to watch too. They were
great to watch.
Yeah.
It's missing, and they still have tough guys. Like Wheeler's a tough guy. Dubois is a tough guy. Scheifele's a tough guy. But they're at their best anyway. They're not that anymore. They've lost that identity. And to me, even when you're having a bad night, you can still run over people.
Yep.
That doesn't
still
get
make your
control,
presence felt.
Yeah, and it's not there. I don't see it.
No, and they have a head coach now who used to play that way. I mean,
Right.
Dave Lowry, if he was, he was on that 04 Flames team. If they were losing in the playoff game, they'd make a statement. They knew they'd let them know you're there, as they'd say.
Less than 60 seconds left, Fried, and I know you can use the word pricks, but try to avoid using the adjective hard repeatedly after using that word. So is there change coming in Winnipeg, or will they use the offseason to determine what they're going to do?
Well, I think the short term, this year they went into it with Andrew Kopp and they said, you know what, we're going for it this year, so we're going to keep Andrew Kopp. If they're out of the playoff race, they move him, and they probably move Stastny unless he's signing an extension. So I think we get that closer to the deadline. The big decisions, I think they come in the off season, but they probably do their rentals now unless it turns around.
Fried, who's the one team we need to keep an eye on for this deadline?
I think Vancouver's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah.
I think Seattle's going to be an interesting one. And I think for teams going the other way, teams adding, I think Toronto and Calgary are going to be Calgary's got to add a scorer, and Toronto's got to add a D. And I think both those teams will do it.
Appreciate you as always. And how bad's the rain and/or snow? Because we've heard the wipers the entire time.
It's not bad yet,
Good.
but it's supposed to get bad soon. So, like I said, this is all Leslie and Francis's fault. They're bad influences.
Anything
but
for
I'm
a
getting
free
home
hot dog,
before the
that
snow
guy, eh?
hits. Yeah.
Thanks, Reach.
See you, Freach.
All right, take care, guys.